I want to get to a little bit on Biden. Joe Biden. I met Joe Biden. He was lovely. He was very nice to me. Was a different Joe Biden back then. I don't recognize this person right now. He's changed in some ways, in many ways. Regardless, didn't know him well back then. I met him. I was on The View. I interviewed him, but something is different. Something has changed.
Did he sniff your hair?
He did not sniff my hair. I think he said something to me like, I'm a fan. I'm a supporter, even though we disagree, or something silly like that. Everybody says. All Democrats say that to a conservative. They're like, "Oh, even though we disagree, something like that." He said. I'm not quoting you, Joe. It was something that I remember I told my mom about. My mom will remember. She remembers everything. She's right now at home, like texting. Quote, this is what he said. Don't misquote the president. That's happening right now, live from the Bila house by the. Well, not anymore. Never mind. I was going to crack a joke. Sometimes it's just not that funny, Jed. Tyler's like, Jed, you're not a comedian. Stop trying to be one. All right.
My girl thinks you're a hoot. She texted me yesterday after. She goes, Jed is a hoot.
I'm only funny by accident. So
that's okay.
If I ever had to deliver comedy, every joke would fall flat. I'm funny by accident usually when I'm doing something that makes fun of myself because I'm a hot mess. It's clear. Look at my hair. Need I say more? I warned you about the humidity. So people at home that are like, embrace it. I'm Sicilian. Humidity does this. It's passionate. It's exotic. That's what I go for. All right. Daily Mail. To say our country was on the right track would flagrantly depart from reality. Top Democrats say Biden should not run for re-election in 2024. Interesting. Top Democrats across the country said President Joe Biden should not run for re-election in 2024 as they expressed worries over his current leadership and age. Nearly all 50 Democratic officials interviewed by the New York Times feared a Biden re-election campaign would not help their party against Republicans, who are expected to make sweeping victories in the coming midterms. Of course they will. They'll make sweeping victories because of the mandates. Why? Because the country is falling apart and people aren't blind. That's why. Because when you can't afford to put gas in your car, no one is going to be able to convince you, no, things are great. Everything's fine, but I can't put... No, it's fine. No, you're not going to buy it. You're not an idiot. So, first of all, I don't want to say this is good news from Democrats because Lord only knows who they do want to run instead of Biden, and it could be somebody way worse, in my opinion. Like, what was Kamala? Is that who we're talking about? Or like AOC? Or like what? That style, not AOC herself, but that style Democrat, I don't know. So I don't care about that. But what I do care about is, one, there is an acknowledgement that he's doing a bad job. He's doing a terrible job. And I'm just curious, people at home who are thinking about this, what is going to be the re-election strategy here? And we can talk about this, Tyler, too. Like, what is that going to be? I mean, I was thinking like, love inflation, re-elect Biden. Want to hunt for baby formula? Re-elect Biden. I mean, things are just not, and I'm not saying Biden is responsible exclusively for all of these things, but things do not look good right now. Want a forced injection or lose your job? Vote Biden. Want to pay $10K for a gallon of gas? Vote Biden. I mean, what? The slogans write themselves. I mean, look at what's going on at the border. It's a disaster. So much so that I have friends who live in Texas that are like, I don't know, man. What's going on here? If they're not going to take this seriously, I'm going to pick up and leave. Who live by the border, southern border. Oh, mask your 2-year-old endlessly? Vote Biden. I mean, what are the positives here, really? If you look at the last, however long he's been in office, it's actually not that long. It's shocking the damage that has been done. Not only that, people in these liberal cities are also saying, I don't know, man, this isn't looking so good. It's fine when we're talking about woke politics and academia and all that. Oh, maybe I can get on board with that. But like, if I can't walk my 2-year-old to school without worrying I'm going to get mugged, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm out on this stuff. So I'm curious what the strategy is going to be. And I always love talking point driven people that come out and, they'll have some ridiculous, like, I don't know, Build Back Better Part 2. And something, right? Build Back Even Better. Or they'll, like, Trump will say something and they'll twist that and make up a slogan that sounds dumb. I don't know. And I don't know who's going to run against Biden. But people know better, right? I mean, you're sitting at home right now and you're like, I'm not going to be able to be convinced that things are good when I can't afford X, Y, and Z, when I have to like get a second job and I can't, when I've been out of work for X amount of months because I didn't get a vaccine and he encouraged these mandates. So like, you're not going to be able to convince people otherwise. So I'm curious, Tyler, like, what are they going to do?
So one thing that we didn't mention was that we left behind $84 billion worth of military equipment in Afghanistan, which we have not seen the ramifications of. So that's still to come, I think. But I think you're right that Republicans are going to win the House and the Senate in 2022.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a sweeping landslide. To be honest with you, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I'm not excited by Mitch McConnell. I'm not excited by Kevin McCarthy. I'm not excited.
Nobody is.
It's the uniparty.
Yeah, nobody is.
I'm excited that you're seeing people like J.D. Vance and Joe Kent and Blake Adams, I think, out of Arizona, who the Peter Thiel companion. I mean, you're seeing a new faction of the Republican Party, the Conservative Party. But as far as 2024 goes, I'm actually deeply worried. I don't know if Trump can win re-election. I don't. I think
Trump is tricky.
Yeah, the country saw what he did in 2016, and not so much what Trump himself did, but what happened, the Trump effect, what it did to the country, right? My biggest fear is they're going to run Michelle in 2024 because they have a huge opportunity. If they run the right person, they could blow Trump out of the water. No question.
I don't think Michelle wants that job. Would she be a contender? I mean, would she blow things up in a different way? 100%. People love her. And part of winning is you're beloved, right? People they liked Obama. They wanted to sit and have a coffee with him. And that was most of what was going on there. They really liked him. They thought he was a genuine guy. He was likable. They liked the way he conducted his interviews. I think you bring up two important points. One is that, first of all, no one cares about McConnell. Right. No one, these GOP establishment leaders, they're disappointing over and over and over again. I got involved in politics when the Tea Party was rising up. And what I loved about that movement was that it was driven by people. And that movement, as a reminder, was not a backlash against Democrats. That was a backlash against Republicans who were not doing their job, who were not caring about the debt. It was the Mike Lees and the Rand Pauls who were like, I'm sorry, we can't afford that. Debt was a big issue. The deficit was a big issue. Low taxes was a big issue. Of course, they were painted as violent, and I went to those rallies. I didn't see any of that ever. I saw a lot of patriots. I saw a lot of people who were unhappy and holding government accountable. I didn't see any of what was the media claimed was happening.
Well, it's projecting. I mean, that all came from Occupy.
Of course. I was in New York with Occupy.
Occupy was throwing the feces. Occupy was beating. It's the same with the BLM protest.
Oh, yeah.
It's always projection.
I was in New York City when the Occupy tents were downtown, and there were like rape tents.
Right.
And it was horrible. It was really horrible. It was filthy. It was horrible what they did to New York City. Really disgraceful what was allowed to go on. But I don't know what's going to happen in 2024. What I will say to Republicans is I think Trump can be problematic in many ways. There are people who've already made up their minds about him one way or another. And that's, he's not new. He's done great things. He's done things people don't like. Some love his demeanor. Some hate his demeanor. I always felt like sometimes I wanted him to get out of his own way. Like, you did something good, now just let it be good for a hot second. Me personally, other people felt differently and they were like, let him go. But he is a very divisive figure, even on the right. I think a lot of what he did policy-wise was good. Ron DeSantis would be amazing. I don't know if he wants to run. What I will say to Republicans, don't run a weakling. This is not the time. Don't run a bland, like, oh, this is not your time to pull out, the John McCain or the Mitt Romney. I'm not interested. I wasn't interested then. I'm not interested now. This is your time to pull someone who has a record, who's a fighter, who knows when, like, let me be quiet, who doesn't get into a lot of trouble with media, who knows how to own media in a way, a la Ron DeSantis. He does know how to own media. He knows how to put them in their place. He knows what he's talking about. He has a proven record in Florida. Somebody, if not him, if he doesn't want the job, and he may not, someone like that. Someone who's not going to get on stage and take garbage. That's what you need. And I think there's a good shot there. I don't know what's going to happen from Democrats. Biden is a disaster. I think they know that. Kamala is a disaster. I mean, short of like a wealth of videos of her inappropriately laughing, I don't know what could be gained about. I mean, I don't know what's going on there with the really weird laughing. But other than that...
Not to mention her speeches are written by children.
Yeah, it sounds like someone Kamala Harris often sounds like someone who is giving a class like reading their paper in front of the class, only like they're not quite prepared.
Right.
So
I wrote this last minute. I didn't.
I wrote it last minute. I'm hoping no one realizes. I'm just going to kind of like, and then when I do something that doesn't make any sense, I'm just going to laugh.
Just cackle.
I'm going to cackle. I'm going to cackle and hope for the best.
She let's not forget, she was the farthest left senator in Congress, farther left than Bernie Sanders.
Right.
And she is so disliked by the American people. She couldn't even get a single electoral vote in California.
Oh, and they'll say it's because people are racist. No, she's terrible.
Right.
She's terrible.
Right.
She is terrible. If you're paying attention, she's terrible. She's not a good candidate. Hillary Clinton was not a good candidate. I'm curious where it's going to go. But regardless of where it goes, you are not going to make people unsee and unfeel what they have seen and felt. You're not going to you're not going to convince the single mom at home who lost her job as she was a nurse. She lost her job because she didn't get a jab that you insisted she get. And then she was at home trying to put food on the table for her kid, and she had to put gas in her tank to go to the grocery store, and it was priced the way that it is right now. You're not going to convince her that you did a good job, honey.
While her kids stayed at home and learned from home and couldn't
right.
babysitting from the school, essentially, that was locked down with her for 2 years.
Right. While the child had to go through remote, and then when did go back into school, had to wear a mask.
Right. Right.
You're not going to convince that person that you've done a good job. Good luck. Good luck with a fancy slogan, Build Back Better 2. Good luck. You better have a lot more than Build Back Better Part 2 in your back pocket, because you're going to need it.
This is an interesting question, though. I mean, because this keeps popping up. Do they have anybody? I mean, do they have legitimately?
I don't know.
Who are they going to run? Chest feeding Pete? Beto, who eats dirt? I mean, Kamala is awful. Elizabeth Warren is awful. Bernie's too old. And in Bernie's defense, even if he did run, the DNC wouldn't let him win.
No, they already,
Twice they ran him out.
Yeah. They already wrecked his campaign a couple of times. Like, oh, no, you're not the guy we want. Sorry, Bernie, sit this one out. I don't know who they have. I think their bigger problem, though, is policy. I really do, because no matter what that figurehead is right now, they have to deal with reality. And reality for them sucks. Because reality for a lot of Americans sucks. And a lot of it, not all of it, a lot of it is because of their policies. If you like the short clip, you can catch another one here, or you can catch the full episode right here.